All right. We should be ready whenever you.
Yeah, ready when you are.
All right. And we're live. Hello and welcome to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
And in this season of the Verhoeven Effect podcast, the first season, we'll probably get to a second, we are watching network television because me and Nathan don't watch network television generally. We are watching police procedurals from different times. We're watching 2014's NCIS, 2008 The Mentalist, and 1984's Miami Vice. Our first show, as usual, we're watching NCIS New Orleans, Season 1, Episode 16, My Brother's Keeper, which is also the name of the first episode of Miami Vice. But has nothing to do with that. There's the My Brother's Keeper thing goes back, I have no idea, but...
The Bible.
Okay. There you go. I didn't know that. Didn't have to do with Cain and Abel, did it?
No, I don't think that's the context.
Okay.
That'd be interesting.
Original air date, February 24th, 2015, CBS Tuesday. After a Navy recruiter is the target of a lethal hit and run, the NCIS team investigates whether the murder was tied to her career or her role as a foster mother to two brothers. Also, LaSalle grows increasingly concerned for his brother's welfare after welcoming him into his home. Showrunner Gary Glasberg, written by Christopher Ambrose, directed by Oz Scott.
All right. This episode stops off running with a particularly brutal hit and run.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, they had the stuff.
Well,
people.
It's not a hit and run, it's just vehicular homicide. Well, they just didn't stick around.
And with really old cars, which is usually the way, because it keeps production down if you're not using brand new cars. Smashing them into things.
Well, I mean, like even the car in the show is like half put together. Like one of the doors is replaced and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a car. Well, it'll come up later in the show, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we know what it is. It's a Camaro. We saw it in the beginning.
No, I mean, it just looks like the kind of car that someone who maybe just got out of prison is driving. And
yeah.
It's like, I want a car with a V8 engine, but I only have $500. It's like, well, we have the car for you. Well, that's back in the good old days. Now a car in that condition would probably go for $3,000. Especially even though it was used in a murder. It's like, yeah, it was still it's market price.
Yeah, we don't see it. We see it's a Navy person. She like walks out of a building, apparently the only one, and then she gets ran over. And then boom, boom, boom. Yep. Hey, yeah, because you got to follow that up with the murder with the opening theme song.
Yeah, that does kind of work. They always do it pretty well in this show, where it's like it is a break. It's like, oh, I just saw something horrible. Now my friends are going to come in and we're going to solve the case together.
I wonder if, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure like all the CSIs did this, but it was really like evident in CSI Miami, because they had because they all use the Who songs. It's the one that starts with the wow, where he's just screaming in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And so like CSI Miami, they always like come up to the body, and like the one guy who's like the head of the department there would say some like, stupid one-liner. It's like, well, looks like, take off his glasses or put on his glasses. Either way, it says, looks like the case is afoot or something like that. Yeah. There's a supercut out over there of that, and it's hilarious because it's.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
So yeah,
I was curious, like how much they paid the Who to license that song, because that's got to be really expensive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like all those series went for like 7 years,
billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Add them all together. So.
Also, one thing I found out. So like we've been using the Paramount app to watch the NCIS stuff, and then like you'd see this thing pop up like CSI Vegas, and so like the original CSI, like it took place in Las Vegas, and all the other ones had a name after them. So it was like CSI New York, Miami. Well, actually then there was CSI Cyber, but that was different. And then it's like, oh wait, because Dad was talking about it. CSI Vegas is a new reboot of CSI.
Oh wow! Okay.
There's a new CSI show out there, and it's like some of the original cast. But yeah, it's they have a new CSI show out there, and it's CSI Vegas. So.
Rebooted in its own lifespan of
yeah.
universe. That's interesting.
Yeah,
anyway, bring some money in,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it hasn't been around for a while, and it still has name value. So, I watched the first episode. It was fine. It's okay. And then I don't know. It's not as crazy as like the Spider-Man stuff. Like we're gonna reboot it like in the midst of doing a third, like we're gonna reboot it with the one kid, and then after the second one we're gonna reboot it again, and this time it's gonna be because now it's got dragged into the MCU universe stuff. So that's probably the craziest stuff. But now the latest Spider-Man movie is probably going to bring all those people back in with Andrew Garfield is the one I'm thinking of. So it's probably going to have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
Hold on one second. According to this, we're not recording, but it is recording.
Okay.
Wow, really? Are we going to do this right on the show?
It's all edited later. It doesn't matter. As far as I know, no one's watching us right now. So.
Okay, well, we'll have to go to this video and get the first.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was Okay, it was recording into the wrong auxiliary. I'm sorry. I was doing something when I mixed music earlier, and okay, we're good. It's actually recording now. It shows it's really recording instead of fake recording.
Yeah. The
only reason I know it's fake recording is because it only shows up on one. It shows up as a mono track on my thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to replace this. Sorry, folks. Okay. So you're just gonna have to put the first 15 minutes or whatever from.
Yeah, that's fine.
In front of this, and then we'll just erase this whole conversation like it never happened. Before everything's perfect here.
Yeah. So yeah, CSI Vegas. It's back.
It's back again.
But yeah, I ran through everything. So yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, like I think after the credits we come to LaSalle comes home and his brother's painting his house and fixing his plumbing and organizing everything.
Yeah.
And then like LaSalle's like kind of concerned. It's like, oh, is he having a manic episode or not?
Yeah, because he's like, have you been up all night? No, I just woke up early. It's like, no, he's because his brother's like bipolar, right?
Bipolar, probably manic depressive. I'm not sure if at this time people knew what that was. Yeah. It feels like they got most of that stuff right. There's some stuff here in this episode I feel like I would have wrote this because I don't have any personal experience. So I was like, well, I don't have any experience with this. So what would you do? You'd go to another show that would do something like that. And it's like, I'll do something like that. I'll do some Google searches for medical terms. And then I'm good. I did my research.
Yeah.
That's what this episode kind of feels like. The mental stuff kind of feels like someone knew something about it. If you want to see like actual, like an entertaining look and a depressive look at what being manic depressive and bipolar is, there's a show on Netflix called Lady Dynamite. By Maria Bamford, and like that basically is all about her dealing with like being manic depressive because I don't like you hear sometimes of like a manic episode and you think that's just somebody going crazy. It's like ripping out their hair and throwing things around, but actually it's like, you know, it's that's a derivative is mania. It's like, well, what does that mean? And like one of the positive things, or what we presume to be positive things with mania, is that like you're just really happy and have all the energy in the world.
Yeah.
And then like you just want to do things, and like you look like you're like for the party, but then when you fall down, it's just like immediate black hole depression, and often can lead to suicidal thoughts.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it'd be great to be that way most of the time, but you're not really mentally supposed to be that way for days.
Yes.
So the recurve, it's just like a drug that keeps you awake all the time.
Yeah.
Like when it's time to pay up and catch up with all that sleep and all the, you know, the real, you know, flat line that most people's personalities are most of the time. Oh yeah, like there's no, it's kind of like, what do they call inertia? It's like a debt to the universe that will be paid when you stop suddenly. You know, it's like, yeah, you're going to crash hard.
But that's one of those things where it's like it's hard to notice it as a problem because it looks like somebody's happy and fine.
Yeah.
And like normal depressed people like us would be like, oh man, I wish I could feel that happy.
Yeah. I have that energy. It's like, oh, it's like cocaine. Good and the bad. I know. Yeah. There's people like that. I've over the years, I've encountered people at work who like, oh, he seems fine or she seems fine, maybe a little too up for the game. This is just work after all. And then you'll hear it's like, oh, did you hear about them? They killed themselves. Like, what? Because all the upswing was at work.
Yeah.
And then when they hit home, it was like, but it wasn't like, it didn't go on for days. It was just like always smiley face at work. And yeah, I'm glad to do that. Sure, I can help you. Hey, no problem. It's like, oh, this is a good person to work with. And then it's like, oh, they killed themselves. Like, what? What do you mean? Happened 4 times I know of. And, and I've worked at a place 20 some years, so it's probably not a high percentage, but I remember it as like, oh, they seemed,
But before a show like this at this time, but like them dealing with mental illness is probably like a good showing for its time because there's way more stuff like that nowadays with a bit more experience with it. Well, here we have like basically his homeless brother doing some things around the house, whereas I think nowadays we'd have somebody like on the job dealing with this, and that's even more like frightening and relatable.
Because everyone would be like, oh crap, I work with this guy. They all know someone.
Or it's like, oh wait, that's me.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that all the time, and I just go to work like nothing's wrong.
Yeah, I've never felt manic about anything. I've been excited to do things, but nothing at work.
No. But yeah, they argue about certain treatment, but like Cade, his brother, keeps reassuring him that he's working the program and stuff like that. So, the body is Petty Officer Maggie Behringer. She's a Navy recruiter, and she is raising 2 foster kids by herself.
2 brothers.
Yes.
About 10 years apart or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote here weird bike transition because it's like they go from the recruiter station to like the house, and there's just like a guy on this like a bike on top of a bike thing going on.
New Orleans thing.
Yeah. It's not exactly like those
penny farthings.
Yes, penny. It's not exactly like that. It's more like they just like it's a bike frame, but like the whole middle part is just extended upwards about 5 feet. And the guy's just riding around at night, It's like, yeah, that's what you do.
It's a balance bike.
I mean, yeah, you get a better view of everything. Less likely to probably get hit by a car. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen those recumbent bikes around here a few times. Because you steer underneath. Yeah, they're kind of weird. I've never ridden one because they don't make one for people my size. They just call that a saggy frame.
But yeah, this is kind of, I don't know. Yeah, this is where I feel like with the foster kid stuff, I feel like this is just ripped apart from every other episode that deals with foster kids. I have reasons to doubt the person that wrote this episode knew anything about foster kids or the foster system, but they've seen stuff on television.
Yeah, it's always the same. It's like bad administration and
yes,
and
I wrote down the tricky foster care system fails everyone as it does in every television show. There's never a positive portrayal of like the foster care system, and like maybe that's true, but that's always like the thing, the dilemma even in television shows and probably in real life is like if you see somebody being like a horrible parent, it's like, well, am I going to call Child Protective Services to turn them in? Because that's just going to split up the family, and then somebody's going to go to jail, and then they're going to end up in the foster system. But because like I have no personal experience with that, and it seems like most people don't, like we just have no idea. But that always seems like a bad idea. It's like, I guess I'll let the torture continue.
When I grew up, I knew in high school there was a lot of kids that were from out of state that were being raised by foster parents.
Huh.
And it always made me, because you go over to the house and everyone's cool, but it's weird. It's like, this is Jim and Susan, and it's like, oh yeah, they're not really your parents, so you call them by your first name. And then I go home and it's like, yeah, anything going on at home, I'm cool, because this is sad as hell. It's like I'm staying at Jim and Susan's house till I'm 18 and then off into the world. And it's like, oh no, 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 it's not good. So, but it's nice that Jim and Susan are willing to take care of these people. But
Yeah.
it's, because the one kid told me exactly what happened, why I was in foster care, and I was like, oh my God, okay, so the rest of your life is basically dedicated to finding and killing your real parents because of what they did to you, right? Because this is like a villain proto story in every movie and TV you've seen. It's like, oh yeah, there's some real monsters out there. So,
well, yeah. There's even a line later on where it talks about like how the one kid, Danny, is almost 18, and one of the lines they say is like, "Happy birthday, now you're homeless."
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Danny punches a window after they take his brother away, because that's like the whole like the dilemma in this episode is like they're gonna split the brothers up, which is like pretty much every foster care episode of a thing.
Yeah.
I actually meant to watch. There is it's a Mark Wahlberg movie about child adoption. I can't remember what it's called. It's a comedy, but like it's one of those things you would assume that like, oh, somebody just made this up. I don't know if I doubt it's true or not. And it's something like critics would say. It's like, well, obviously the person that like wrote or directed this didn't know anything about the foster care system, when it's actually based on his real life of adopting like 5 kids.
Oh, okay. What does he know about it? Well, he's done it 5 times.
Well, no, they adopted like 5 kids that were like brothers and sisters.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he was a director before. He directed like Sex Drive. I don't know if you remember that comedy.
No, I don't remember that one.
There's like it's like a picture of a guy dressed in a giant donut, and then Sex Drive. So he directs comedies like this. So this is another comedy, but it is based. But yeah, I didn't get great reviews, but I just wanted to watch it to see, like, because it's actually written from this perspective of what the foster care system is. So, yeah, they go to Sebastian. I wrote down, oh no, not crime scene CGI again, but it's pretty, it's not ridiculous this time. It's pretty,
tame.
Yeah. They don't have.
I could have drawn a picture to say that, but okay, yeah, it works.
Well, anytimes they have like, it's like they have to simulate a body and they bring in the CGI stuff and it looks just like they're doing previs for the show or whatever. And it's just like incredibly bad, or sometimes instead of just a stick figure, they'll put like, like Barbie figures or something in there. And it's like, what is this garbage? But I don't know. Sometimes it's fun. I don't know. And then then this we pick up on that. They go investigate some people because they have no idea who would want to kill this lady, and then they start looking at her past, and she was making complaints against a private foster care company. And so they go looking down that, and they end up at this guy's house who owns a company, and like I guess he got a city contract, and he's supposed to have like a bunch of people working under him, but he basically just takes the $1 million contract and just pretends that people work for him or something.
Yeah, it's like nothing ever gets, because they go and talk to foster parents.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, that organization, I forget what they call it. Yeah, they suck. They're terrible. You never get anything done. We're paying all their kids' medical expenses out of pocket, and that's not part of the deal. And we just can't let the kids' teeth rot out or whatever. And they were like, oh, okay, we got to talk to this guy, because this was the guy who was there when the kid punched the glass.
Yeah.
To take
when they took his brother away.
Yeah.
And so they confront the guy.
This is weird.
He's like, just tell my wife I didn't do what they said I did. He just jumps to his death. And they they really linger on it too. It's like 3 different angles in slow motion.
Yeah, and he hits a BMW and like the moonroof and all the windows explode out of it.
Yeah, I wrote down, I hope that was his car that he landed on.
Yeah, I'd be furious if I saw that. I was like, you gotta be kidding. Key scratches are one thing, but now we got bodies on it.
Now it's evidence on a crime scene.
Yeah, how much am I gonna pay to fix this?
Yeah.
Just go yell at the corpse. My rates are gonna go up. Thanks, pal.
I also mentioned he mentioned an organization which I never heard of, which is called DCF, which I guess also means DCFS, which is Department of Children and Family Services.
Okay.
Which is a real thing.
Sure, that's a happy place to work.
Yeah, that's basically the foster care system, but that's what it's called essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if Child Protective Services is a separate thing or if it's part of that.
They probably work together, but I think Protective Services is just like, is there abuse going on?
Yeah.
And then they're like the criminal part of it, and then the other branch is like, okay, where are we going to send these kids?
Yeah. St. Croix is the guy that runs the private foster company,
who was also being indicted in another state for committing the same fraud. And,
and
they have all this information on him. All of a sudden, it's like, why'd they give this guy another contract? But whatever, it makes the story. Well, it basically clears like that guy's suicide. Like, okay, the whole trial of the foster system is over because this is a bad guy and he just leaped to his death. So now we got to look, for who else would have killed the lady.
Yeah.
Because she was making a complaint against that organization, and they thought, oh, he killed her.
Yeah, because like basically it's like, well, nobody would want to kill her. She's a good person. Why would want to kill her? And so
I think Pride in LaSalle should have had a little sidebar on the roof after looking down at him dead. He's like, that guy was a hardcore motherfucker. Maybe he did kill her because he just killed himself. Like, what wouldn't he do? But that little aside didn't happen.
Yeah. We have LaSalle goes to meet up with his brother as they're doing like a group meeting because Cade wants to show that like, see, he's doing the work, but then he also takes a moment to try to hook him up with one of his social workers who, like, I guess they're former classmates, and now she's working as a social worker in New Orleans. So Cade wants to get them together. And then like, she takes like, yeah, it's a good sign. He's looking towards the future or whatever. So.
Well, they knew each other from before.
Yeah, they were in the same class.
Yeah.
In high school, presumably.
Yeah.
But she has a master's degree, so she would be in college a lot longer than him. So they probably would well, they went to different colleges too. So.
Yeah. So yeah, we have so the brother's doing that, and they're both kind of feeling cautiously optimistic about his brother, like, maybe LaSalle's brother's, maybe he's going to come out of this. And
yeah.
Cade's maybe he's working, not come out of it and be cured, but maybe he's working in a positive direction.
Yeah, yeah. They're handling it better than what they usually do, which is usually they just let him go and then he'll go do things, and then he'll be on a roller coaster of emotions. And and I forget how we get to this, but they go to like Maggie's boyfriend, or like but they're not currently like seeing each other. And like, and it then ends up being like that Danny might be a drug dealer dealing PCP. Because they also go to his locker at a foster home or something. Well, not foster home. It's like the orphanage or, well, yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The state
juvenile detention thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they find like a marker or like a stamp in his locker that's connected to like PCP that's going around.
Yeah, it's like the Robin Hood symbol with the hat and the arrow, and it's like, oh yeah, this is how drug dealers brand this stuff. So it's like brand recognition, like corporate America. When they said that, I'm like, wait a minute, they're just creating a chain of evidence. But okay, yeah, this is working. Maybe they do that. I don't know. I haven't bought PCP in a long time.
But LaSalle goes to see his informant that's in jail, which
prison. He's in prison.
Yeah, prison. So you figure he wouldn't be his informant anymore, but apparently he's going to help him, get out of prison after he gets some stuff. But yeah, like I mean, like we don't exactly know what he went to jail for, but the last time we saw him, he was getting busted by DA agents that they were trying to bust, pretending to be like sellers. And it's like, wait, why did this guy go to prison?
Yeah, what else did he do?
Yeah, because if he went to prison for that, I don't think he would ever talk to LaSalle ever again.
Yeah,
it's like that was totally his fault. But anyways, yeah, we have.
You've got to have your friends, wherever you can get them, I guess.
We have Bull is like their new suspect who owns a gray Camaro and works at like a tire shredding factory.
Yeah.
And then Bull is using the kids to basically deal drugs.
Well, the older one, the other, yeah, and the younger one too, yeah.
Yeah, younger one too, but like incidentally, like the younger kid wouldn't know he had drugs on him.
Yeah.
Or at least the plan. And Bull ends up being like their biological father. So.
Yeah.
And he's the one that killed Maggie because she needed him to like basically sign off like relinquishment of we'd say like overseeing them or whatever that's called.
Yeah, basically relinquishing his parental rights.
Yeah, so that she could adopt the kids. I don't know because we only get to see Bull for about 10 minutes, but they just make him immediately a villain. He's just screaming loud, pulling a gun on his own kids. So it's like, this guy just uses his kids for his own means.
Using his kids for cover. Yeah, his whole full name Bull Costigan. It's like, that sounds like a bad person. Actually, that sounds like an Italian like mobster guy, but it works too.
And also like they go to talk to his boss, and he's like, that's a shame because like the guy had been in prison before, and like he was hoping he was like helping the guy out, but apparently the guy's selling like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of drugs on the side while working at the tire factory. It's like it doesn't make too much sense, but whatever. So,
it's kind of it's just Dad's a bad guy and he's manipulating the kids.
Yeah, and he killed a person.
He's like one of the worst things you can sell. I don't.
But at the end, like Wade takes the kid. Oh, also, Danny, the older kid, kind of gets caught like measuring out the drugs, but like they're able to work around things. He's like 3 days from being 18, but they're able to work things out so he doesn't go to jail or prison or anything.
Yeah.
And then at the end, Wade takes the kids in, but doesn't necessarily adopt them because it's like Danny's going to end up like when he turns 18, he's going to apply to be a guardian for his little brother. So that's like, and then basically they're going to kind of live at Loretta's house. Well, I mean, we already know that Wade like is like a like she owns a bunch of like buildings and stuff like that on the side. So we already know she owns places.
Yeah, she's actually she's like a doctor, so she's
she got money, but she rents out her place wherever Brody is living. Like remember that's where they end up renting out a place that Loretta owns to her.
Yeah.
So she is a landlord, but she's taking them in at her house, and then weirdly. Like, well, we know because like the kid Danny gets like weirdly violent and like he says like the only one you can trust is yourself, and then he can never like, and he hates when people be nice to him because it's like this isn't gonna last forever. This is all just like surface niceness. Like once I'm away, it's not gonna mean anything because the kid's just used to getting screwed over and nothing ever comes true. So that's but he always has these weird violent turns where he's like everything's fine until somebody says something that triggers him. So. So Pride is cautioning Wade. It's like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? And she's like, nope.
There's interesting moments in this, like because the dad pulls the gun when they catch him at the train station, pulls the gun on his own like 8-year-old son, and is using him for cover, and then he tells his older boy, get in the car, drive, and he's backing towards the car, and the dad puts the kid in the back seat, and then the son just takes off.
Yeah.
And Dad gets thrown to the ground, and of course they're all over him, getting his gun and stuff. And then Pride goes up to the car, and the little boy has his hands up in the back, and Pride's like, "No, don't do that. You're not in trouble." He feels really bad. In that moment, and then later when Wade's like, "Yeah, I'm going to give him a place to stay for a while and give him a part-time job around the morgue," which is what kid wouldn't want to do that, but I guess he's interested in science, so
yeah. And
then that's when Pride like almost like changes direction. It's like, you're going to take 2 troubled brothers in, one who's been in and out of juvie quite a bit and was working a PCP lab with his dad. And he's like, do you think this is a good idea? And she's like, no, but you know who I am. And, it was kind of one of those exchanges like, I'm going to do this.
Well, they have a little bit where like Wade is fixing up Danny's hand because he punched a window, and he refers to hydrogen peroxide as H2O2, and then she's like, "Oh, you're interested in chemistry." That's kind of like the only thing that like it's like, "Oh, this kid's smarter than you think he is," because it's one thing. But maybe he's using that to put the drugs together. But I thought actually
he might know a lot about chemistry for other reasons.
I thought like the kid that played Danny, I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, he only has two emotions, sadness and anger, but hey, it's two emotions.
But he's a likable actor. Like you don't want to believe bad things about him. Like, oh, this is someone just caught in a bad situation.
Yeah. So I looked up. He's a working actor. He does a lot of television shows. And then I accidentally found out they bring him back. He's in fact working for Loretta, and he's in like 6 or 8 more episodes across the seasons. So.
Oh, okay. Well, good. And it wasn't just a one and done then.
Yeah. And so I believe he's in one more episode this season, and he shows up more in later seasons. And then it ends on LaSalle and Savannah.
Yeah, this is it's already kind of a somber episode. Like, well, maybe things are going to go bad, but this kids are scared to death now, and it's like, oh, how's this going to end even sadder? And it's like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, they go back to LaSalle's house, and Kate has relapsed, and he's basically going the opposite of everything he said he wasn't going to. So he's just like golfing things inside the house.
Yeah.
He's
painted the walls like in some kind of dolly thing where he just like sloshes paint around.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna like this.
And then a girl comes out holding beers, and it's like, and he says he picked her up at the hardware store. It's like, who's this woman?
A hardware floozy.
And then I mean they don't yell at him. They kind of like handle it normally, but like they're scared that like that he's gonna have this is obviously he's in the midst of a manic episode, and he's gonna crash, and that's what they're worried about. And so like Savannah like starts prepping some emergency room to like accept him in, not like an emergency room, but like
they're doing the famous 24-hour psych hold, which is what they have here. Because you can't be committed anymore unless you self-commit.
Yeah.
But they can hold you for 24 hours for observation, which anyone can keep their shit together for 24 hours unless they're just completely out of their mind. Which is like a big problem they have with the homeless people here, is when it gets real cold and they don't want to come in. It's like they do 24-hour psych holds and basically put them in a heated room, because these guys will be minus 40 here, and they'll be like, no, I've done this all my life. It's like, no, you'll die in 10 minutes. It's not, you can't be outside like this. So yeah, I've heard of the old 24-hour psych hold, which is about the most psychiatric care you can get in this country.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. I didn't really see, or maybe I didn't draw the connection, but you have like 2 side stories that are about brothers.
Yeah.
And I don't, maybe there's something about, I was trying to think about, I didn't bring anything together where like there's similarities. I mean, I guess they're both like worried about losing their brother, just in different ways.
One's been watching out for the other. One, of course, with LaSalle and his brother, like, they grew up that way, and it just, they both went 2 different directions with their life.
Yeah.
Because it's hinted that his brother's done some really bad stuff, but it's like, we'll deal with that when we deal with that. It's oh, okay.
And here Danny's been taking care of his brother because his mom was a drug addict and just disappeared one day.
Yeah.
And I guess their dad went to prison. So he's been trying to take care of his brother as best he can the whole time. But
and they found out, like, the lady who got killed, the Navy recruiter, when they were going through her stuff, kind of as the investigation went on, they're like, oh, she was going to adopt both those boys legally.
Yeah.
But the thing with her was, like, she grew up poor, because remember they looked at her dental records and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, she shows all kinds of signs of, how kids who don't have parents that care about them, like their teeth rot out and stuff because they don't take them to the dentist or anything. It's like that woman grew up poor, and I can't remember her name, and I don't know why, but the Navy recruiter that died,
Maggie.
Maggie, and they said she was having trouble making ends meet, because I don't think Navy recruiters make a lot of money, so She's kind of grew up poor and found a wife in the Navy, and she was going to adopt these 2 kids, even though she didn't have much herself. And it's like, well, that's terrible because you don't know the woman; you just see her die in the beginning of the show.
Yeah. Well, she was. What was she? I mean, I'm not sure. Like, petty officer, which that's kind of like a sergeant, I think.
Yeah.
So she'd make okay money, and she'd probably have some stipend for housing, because if there's not a base that they're recruiting out of. And then I don't know how it works with foster kids, but like, yeah, you get in the military, the more kids you have, the more money you get.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was just kind of hinted at that she had a rough life. And,
yeah. Well, I mean, they went through her financials, and it's like, the most money she's taken out of her bank account was $400 to like buy stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
So it was obvious that she wasn't spending anything on herself. It was just all for the kids.
Yeah. So she was a good person. Ultimately.
Yeah.
Didn't know her. It's like, well, there was,
She didn't deserve to die in probably one of the more violent deaths in the show.
Yeah.
Just hit somebody with a car. Just do a burnout and hit somebody with a car.
Yep. So this was a strong episode for NCIS this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they're kind of overreaching for some stuff, but yeah, it was fine. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, but I didn't find anything like so discontinent where I was angry at the show.
No, it's only that one Brody episode that we point out. It's like, well, it wasn't that thing where it's like what they're telling us is completely antithesis to what they've showed us. Yeah. It's like, no, I know the character by now, and what you're writing about them is completely antithetical to what the character is in the show.
And what you're saying that she did something wrong as, like, my point is like, no, she did the right thing. It's like, I mean, I don't know what your procedures are, but it's like, excuse me, in that situation, it's like there's not like, I mean, unless you just get the headshot and you're the hero, that doesn't happen much in real life. So so this wasn't one of those episodes.
So our second show, we have The Mentalist, Season 1, Episode 16, Bloodshot. Original air date, March 17th, 2009, CBS Tuesday. Patrick is temporarily blinded by a bomb blast just before the CBI are called in to investigate the murder of a stockbroker. Showrunner Bruno Heller, written by Gary Glasberg. Yes, that same Gary Glasberg that runs all the NCIS shows. Directed by Chris Long.
I bet you he lives in a big house.
Well, he died.
Oh, well, I bet you he did live in
Yes. Being that he's connected to 4 shows that have ran more than 7 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, shows that have probably made more money than the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
It's terrible he died, but
yeah, but the first season of NCIS, I believe he died during the first season of NCIS New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he's continued. That's why when I say the showrunner, he's still the showrunner for that show.
Okay.
But yeah, these shows are 8 years apart. So, he was still working on NCIS shows then. Because I believe NCIS Los Angeles came out like the same year as this show.
Okay.
And they're both on CBS. So he's doing a lot of double duty. Yeah, because he's like written like 3 episodes for this season. Like I think this is the 3rd.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so yeah, it starts out. They're going to CBI headquarters, which I thought kind of looked kind of weird because it's kind of a brick building with like a patio on it. But,
yeah.
Which doesn't really scream government building to me. But yeah, what do I know? It's just a building around. Yeah, whatever. Because we never, because like the interior is a set, so it's not like they ever needed an exterior.
What?
We see, or Jane sees Van Pelt flirting with a guy at like a hot dog vendor or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
In every TV show, there's a hot dog vendor at every corner. Oh yeah, he said coffee. Yeah, so yeah, coffee vendor. And then I think Jane mentions it out loud, and so Rigsby is immediately jealous. And then there's a bomb threat sent directly to Jane's phone.
Yeah.
And so like they clear out the building, and like you have like the head of CBI. I can't remember his name. You know his name, don't you? The guy's like that runs the whole thing.
Manelli?
Yeah, Manelli. He's like, is this a hoax or not? And it's like, because it wasn't sent directly to CBI headquarters. It was just sent to Jane. And he's like, well, I mean,
yeah,
and
because they had a bunch of bomb threats preceding this.
Yeah. So this is like a normal thing that CBI gets bomb threats. And also it's kind of sent with like a riddle, is like there's a big bomb and see if you're smart enough to figure it out. And so Jane.
Yeah, so you get the concept that this is aimed at Jane.
Yeah. But like, so Jane starts going looking for big vehicles. Like, well, if it's a big bomb, it's got to be in a van. And then they find a van with a dude tied up on it with "You're next" like written on his head. And then conveniently for us, there is a timer on the bomb that says how long we have. But it's also there for a scare tactic especially for the guy in the van, and for Jane's helplessness that he can't help the guy because he's got like 12 seconds to try to disarm a bomb.
Yeah.
And so he basically just watches the guy in fear, and then they run away as the bomb blows up, and Jane gets launched in the air on top of a car, and then he tries to get up, but he can't see. So,
yeah,
because he got a concussion.
Yeah, basically, this is implied to be a temporary blindness, but we don't have an end date. But it's not like, oh, your eyes were blown out of your head. It's like, this is going to be a new thing for this character then.
Well, and he didn't even debris like shot in his eye or anything like that. It was more that there was a concussion, but there's also like,
well, the shockwave burst all the blood vessels too.
Oh yeah, I guess they said that, because there's also stuff where actually like the vision center of your brain's like towards the back bottom of your skull.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes people, like if they get punched in the back of the head, like they'll go blind because like that's where your vision center is. So yeah, but I thought there was something like that. But yeah, they did say it was like something as blood vessels burst in his eyes or something like that.
I've never heard of the condition, but whenever I hear about things going wrong with eyes, like the worst thing I could imagine is if something goes wrong and your like image reversal gets blown out, so you see everything upside down, which is how it comes into your eye.
Yeah,
and it gets inverted in your head, but it's really everything's upside down until it gets inverted, and it's like I've never heard of that going wrong. But it's like that would be truly nightmarish. I don't even know how that works because it's organic. It's not like a computer screen where it just flips up. I don't know, but I do know it's like, well, I've never heard of that.
Well, it's like, so if you think of like how it's directing the light in, so if you think this is the light being directed in, and then when it hits like your visual, like retinal center, it means they have to like keep going further, and they kind of invert.
Yeah.
And then your head just fixes it. So like, I mean, it's just like how it processes it. At some point, yeah, it is upside down, but then your head fixes it. But yeah, I thought there was a fun thing that somebody talked about. Like, do you know what the uncanny valley is?
Yeah, it's where CG is almost makes people look real, but you always know there's something wrong.
Yeah, you always know there's something wrong. And somebody wrote something like I'm scared that there is like some what was it? It's like evolutionary reason that the uncanny valley exists, that we need to know when someone looks like a person but isn't a person. That there's an evolutionary trait like from long ago that's why that whole phenomenon exists.
Oh, when the Cylons happen. That's that is, because remember, this all moves in a big loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jane is very rude to the doctor.
Yeah.
Eventually to the point where they basically like kick him out of the hospital.
Get out of here, you blind fuck.
And he goes back to work, even though they tell him not to. But he's like, oh, it's like, well, this whole attack was aimed after me, so I got to be in the center of this. So,
and then with no training at all, he just wears sunglasses and starts using a blind person's cane.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's like you need to be trained on how to do that, but maybe not.
He just whips it around. Yeah. It'll be all right. Yeah, we have James Medina as the victim. And I wrote a question mark, is this Red John stuff? Because, it's directed at Jane, so that might be a thing. But it turns out not to be. It's like, he was a shady person in his past, and this is kind of like that past being brought back to him. So, Jim Medina is a stockbroker, and this is around the time of the financial collapse, so that would be trendy to bring about. Yeah. It's all stockbrokers' fault, and lender and predatory lenders and all that stuff. We don't get into that here.
Where do we get our show funding? Oh, shh.
I do like they go to interview some guy who's like, I guess he was a stockbroker, but now he is a bouncer at a club, and like he like kind of roughs up Rigsby, and then Lisbon just puts a stun gun on him and brings him in. This is a weird episode because it's kind of, there's like a lot of like, because even the blind stuff is played for comedy. There's a lot of just some weird mix of comedy and serious like stuff going on in this episode.
Yeah, this isn't what I'd call inappropriate humor. I call this bizarre humor.
Yeah.
Because some of this almost gets like Lynchian when like Patrick's is saying like, murder and guilt have smells now. Like he's been blind for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he can like smell murder and the intent behind it. And it's like, oh, well, this is just weird for someone to sit there talk about with a straight face. Like,
yeah.
But you never know with Jane, like, oh, she's just making shit up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he does more of his weird touching stuff while interrogating the guy, and then he's like touching Lisbon's face, and it's all weird.
I want to feel you smile. Creep. What are you doing?
See, if this was made today, it's like Jane would have to go do some HR lessons with like, this is inappropriate touch and this is appropriate touching. Well, I asked her permission.
Yeah, so did Louis C.K., but no one really liked it when they found out about it. It's like, well, no, that's just weird. It's like this isn't performance art.
But yeah, we go to the wife's house of James Medina, but Jane can't solve the crimes by just looking at the family photos. So we've taken that away from him. Yeah, because a lot of times, a lot of physical cues they picks up on that when people are lying, it's just visual. But now he's just doing more touching stuff. But yeah, they find a watch and it has like a bowl insignia on the back, and that reminds him of a client that he used to have. And so that's the next thing. It's like, oh, this is probably somebody from Jane's background that's getting a revenge on him. We also have like a weird conversation between him and Van Pelt when they're alone. And like they kind of reveal that Van Pelt has some hidden trauma that she's never told anybody. It's like, whoa, what's that about?
When I was at Jesus camp, somebody did something. I mean, I don't know what her background is, but she seems to always be that character.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's a reason she found God.
Yeah.
We have Carol Gentry as one of the flashbacks where Jane screws up her reading, and like that's kind of a misdirect because it finds out that she killed herself, like 8 years later. And then Jane collapses.
Yeah.
Presumably because, the injury, and he's just riddled with guilt or something, I guess. If Jane can feel guilt. And then we have Jill.
You never know if it's a dodge with him.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that's real with Jane is like the pain he feels because of the murder of his wife and child.
Yeah.
Like that's genuine, but everything else is like, you don't know.
Yeah, because he knows
that's how the character is written. They don't want you to know. So
yeah, is this performative or is this real?
Yeah, it's just this is how this guy's written.
Here now I have just a bunch of names written. I have Jill Lamont as a second suspect, but no, it's her husband that's a suspect, Paul Krager. His life was subsequently destroyed after Jane basically told her that her husband was cheating, which was true, but it was under the guise of like a psychic reading.
Yeah.
When he just picked up on some smell or something. In the flashback.
Yeah.
Not. And then you find out the lawyer that Van Pelt's dating isn't a lawyer, and like Van Pelt and him have a conversation in the bathroom, and like they think everything's good, and the guy just assaults Rigsby and takes his gun and cuffs him to a stall. It's like, well, this is completely out of nowhere.
I was always wondering, like, how did he get in the building? Where a bomb had gone off, and it's like, yeah, I'm a lawyer. Oh, go on, come on in.
Well, there is a point that. So in the very beginning, they make a point to point the camera at the sign that says nobody's allowed in without ID or whatever, and they do say that he stole Van Pelt's ID, but that's to get into the. But that would be to get into the parking lot. I don't know how he gets in this time unless he still has Van Pelt's ID, and then she just somewhere in between got a new one. That could be, or that could have just been a missed detail. It's like,
It just seemed weird to me that when he was in there the second time, I was like, how's this guy keep getting in here? But it's like, gotta tell. We got 43 minutes.
Yeah. Let's not waste 15 minutes on the intricacies of how he got into CBI headquarters.
Just have a whole like Mission Impossible
So obviously he's the suspect, which is Dan Hollenbeck, who is the son of Paul Krieger, who is the son of Jill Lamont. Just a bunch of names, but yeah, this is the guy.
You can follow it much easier watching the show.
Yeah.
It doesn't require you to take notes.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as he beats up Rigsby, it's like, immediately, like, okay, this is the bomber, this is the guy, but we don't know. Like, for a minute there, I was like, is this going to be that one woman's husband? Like, he seems way too young to be her husband. Yeah. Being that, like, all the flashback sequences are 8 years ago, so. But yeah, then he comes out there and pulls a gun on Van Pelt, and basically he's like, actually no, they try to keep it a secret for a while, and then he puts the gun on Jane, and then like pulls a gun on Van Pelt at some point. Then he's like makes Van Pelt handcuff herself, and like they're walking out of there, and then Jane kind of like shoves him down, and a handcuffed Van Pelt and a blind Jane run away while he kind of has a quick shootout with the security cop from the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
He'll get some shots off and then shot in the shoulder, and then the air rammed into the car and falls down and drops his gun. He's out of it. And then you have also this is where you pick up where Van Pelt is apparently from Iowa. Because at some point they say something like, he says something like, oh, where all the potatoes are, and then she's like, no, dumbass, that's Idaho, which I believe is where, no, I think she's from Utah. The actress, I believe, is from Utah, so not Idaho. Okay. Never mind, I thought that was going to be a thing, but yeah, Van Pelt apparently is from Iowa. And Jane says that's, how do you know? It's because she's naive, so it's like all naive people come from Iowa. But yeah, it was kind of a fun scene. We have a handcuffed Van Pelt and a blind Jane trying to figure out how to get to cargo inside of a parking lot, and basically Jane just hits everything. They're getting shot at by the guy, and then eventually Lisbon just comes up and shoots Dan. Which is this the second time this is the second time she shoots somebody to death, but like, is there more other times that Lisbon shoots somebody to death in front of Jane?
I'm trying to think. I know that there was a time at the hotel. I remember.
Yeah, the one with the couple. Yeah,
she's been in a lot of shootouts, but I think just like blasting someone in the chest, just emptying the magazine. I think this is like only the second time she's done it, especially with Jane like right there.
Well, that one episode where it's like they're in the woods and it turns out to be the cop. Did she shoot that guy, or was that like Van Pelt?
She was in a shootout with him.
Okay.
I think they were shooting back and forth, and I forget how it ended. I think she did shoot him eventually, but she didn't like empty a magazine into.
But yeah, Lisbon is usually shooting people in front of Jane. So.
But Jane always sets it up so that it happens that
way. Yeah.
Because one of my favorite Jane things is when the guy's chasing him with a gun, and he like walks up to Rigsby like, he's got a gun.
So yeah, then Van Pelt goes into the men's room to see that Rigsby is okay, and then he is, and they nearly have their first kiss in a men's bathroom. So,
oh, by the way, Van Pelt is from Iowa. It says in her description, and her dad was a football coach.
Oh, the character or the actress?
The character.
Oh, okay.
I click ahead and I only read as far down as I can because I don't want to find out other things. So I don't,
I
don't know a lot about
Oh, yeah. I accidentally found out something about the show reading trivia from a different episode. So
yeah, I try not to do that. I just write the notes and put them
But I already know some stuff about the show from other podcasts where they talk about the show. So
okay.
Even that thing I learned is like it's not concrete. It's like it's still permeable. It's not it's like, well, that could be the conclusion, but it could also not be the conclusion. It's all up to you. Yeah, so yeah, Mentalist. It was a fine episode, but it's like I said, it was just like a weird mix of comedy. It's like we're gonna make Jane blind, not because it's really like an advancement in the characters, like character growth. It's just more of like it's more a platform for comedy than it is for character revelations.
Like I said, this seemed like one of the most Lynch-like episodes with like it's not intentional, but it's just like this bizarre elements bouncing around and people saying the most inappropriate things about, because a lot of these police shows like in NCIS New Orleans, they have kind of a gallows humor, but they sort of tone that back a little bit. It's like, okay, we got to tell a joke about this. And Pride's like, not funny. Someone's dead. Oh, yeah, you're right, boss. This show is like just constant. Like, we just saw somebody murdered. It's like, what weird direction can we go in? Because everyone in the show is emotionally stunted. Like, all the main characters in The Mentalist are stunted emotionally for one reason or another, except Cho. He's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But,
although they do in this episode, they call him emotionally distant. So
yeah, because he's not crazy like everyone else is nuts.
So we don't know if there's a reason for that or it's just a character flaw. It's like, well, that's how I work. It's like
I consider that a character strength with this group.
I don't know, like sometimes, like whenever I was at work, I just had like no emotions whatsoever. Like I'm a completely different person because it's like, why bring your emotions to work? It's just going to make you feel bad.
Yeah, people don't even know I have a life where I'm at work. What do you do? I just sleep in my car until the next show. How's your family? It's like, who? No, I have. There's some people who know how I really am, and some people don't like that either. So it's like for both reasons they stay away.
So we have our third show, Miami Vice, Season 1, Episode 16, Rites of Passage. Original air date, February 8th, 1985, NBC Friday. Sparks fly between Tubbs and an old flame who has come to Miami to rescue her sister from a life of prostitution. Showrunner Michael Mann, written by Daniel Pine, directed by Mr. Indiana himself, David Anspaugh. So I think this is like his third or second episode he directed this season. So.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode features two well-known people.
Yeah.
Pam Grier and John Turturro.
Yep.
Very young John Turturro.
Yeah.
Pam Grier has always kind of looked the same all her life.
Yeah.
As I was watching her, I was like, oh, this is from Ghost of Mars, that's my reference for Pam Grier. Other people, it's different things.
There's like, I don't, you should probably look this up or not. I didn't look it up. I heard somebody talk about it. It just seemed like really funny. But like Roger Ebert, he married a black woman, and there is a review he did for Coffee. It's a Pam Grier movie. I believe she gets naked in it, but like Roger Ebert loved Coffee, and
it's like the best movie ever.
And I guess in the review you basically could tell that like, oh, Robert Ebert fell in love with Pam Grier in that movie. So. You can see what his tastes were in that review, but I believe it's Coffee.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's some blaxploitation film from the late 70s.
Yeah, she's a detective or getting revenge. I can't remember, but
Oh, she was like the it girl for a long. I mean, she just stuck in those kind of movies. She moved on to better stuff.
yeah.
She got really famous from that. It's like there's a lot of guys that fell in love with Pam Grier back then. You know.
Well, it's like when she was in Jackie Brown. That was kind of like one of those seen as a Tarantino.
Yeah.
Well, not a send off. It was like a Tarantino, like, hey, you remember this person? Like, we know y'all forgot, but she's still good. And so she got to be in a bunch. I remember she was on the L Word for a long time. So she had a kind of a late career resurgence. I'm not sure what she's doing now. They rebooted the L Word, so it's maybe she's doing something there too.
I mean, yeah, Jackie Brown is probably the movie that I know her from the most. But I always say Ghost of Mars because she was in it for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And was the best actor for the whole 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's a good cast there, but it was a lot of B movie people.
Yeah. Well, it was weird to see, the guy from Snatch.
Jason Statham.
Yeah, Jason Statham. It's like, he just seemed like he was having fun. Like, whatever this is. Anyway, Miami Vice. Right?
Yeah, like it opens up with the shots of women on the beach, but the guys are hitting on the only woman on the beach who's not in a bikini.
Yeah. And with like really like your pickup lines are horrible. Like this is you just knew this was a bad guy like right away.
Yeah, and he says something like, "Oh, your accent's from Brooklyn." She's like, "Yeah, you're right." And like, she's such a not a great actress. I thought she was like foreign or from Jamaica or something.
Yeah, what's that accent? I'm from Brooklyn. It's like that's totally not what it is.
I think she's just a young actress. I tried, like, she's not even listed in the credits in the Internet Movie Database. I tried to look her up, so this might be the only thing she ever did.
Terry Furman is her name.
Oh, okay.
This was her acting debut on Miami Vice, and she was active till 2000. And it lists like movies I've never heard of. And she was in A Man Called Hawk in 1985. She played a part in that. You remember that one?
No.
It was a Spencer for Hire spinoff. Remember his partner that he worked with, Hawk?
No, I've never seen. I've heard of it. I've never seen Spencer for Hire.
Yeah, he had. It was kind of like a Spencer for Hire was it was a detective show, and then he had this guy called Hawk, who I think was played by Captain Sisko. It was that actor.
Oh, okay.
Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Anyway, because I'm not talking about that. But anyway, yeah. So
is it Benjamin? Oh, no, that's the character name, Benjamin Sisko. Okay, I forget.
Captain Sisko is what I know him. It was the first time I'd seen that actor with range, because before that I knew him as Hawk on Spencer for Hire, and then he had The Man Called Hawk, where he was more of an equalizer character, and it was just him.
Okay.
Because he was one of those dark guys with like guns and a dark. I don't mean dark. You know what I mean? He's kind of like a brooding dark character. Is like you need someone killed, or
Yeah.
But he was always doing it for the right reasons. But yeah, so she was around, but not kind of just a TV actress did a lot of bit parts.
Okay, yeah. Here I have young John Turturro shows up, who's running.
Which was
like
weird. I had to stop the thing for a minute. I was like, "Is that John Turturro?"
Yeah,
sure is.
I mean, he still kind of looks exactly the same, but here it's just like I don't know, skin smoother.
Yeah, he's the same actor. He's a great actor playing that kind of guy.
Yeah,
because he was always his biggest role, like the weird guy from the agency that in Transformers.
Oh yeah, it was probably like his most famous role, but like
he's done a lot of. So.
Oh yeah, I mean he's done a bunch of stuff for the Coen brothers. Like especially like Big Lebowski, where he played, the Jesus guy or whatever.
Yeah. Wasn't he the guy who gave the famous speech about "Don't kill me" in Miller's Crossing? Wasn't that Turturro?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, because he tried that the first time it worked, and the second time the guy just shot him. It's like I'm not listening to you again. Yeah. It was just fun to see him. It's like, wow, everyone just shows up in this.
All right, so he's running basically a bogus modeling agency that's really just a prostitution ring or high class call girls. So I was with the guy, Lyle, was the guy that picks her up in the beginning. Her name's Diane. Picks her up in the beginning. And And then they kind of make a point to show this lady, she's like reluctant to like work with one of their clients, and like well, that's what we pay you to do. And then we see her, then like the next scene, they're dragging her body out of the the Gulf, right? Yeah, I guess the Gulf.
Yeah.
Wherever Miami or what? I don't know.
It'd be like the Gulf of Mexico, or it depends. Yeah, no.
I don't know where it is. I don't know where the Atlantic Ocean would begin there or the Gulf. And I'm not sure where Miami is on Florida. So they pick her up out of a body of water. So yeah, at first I thought it was going to be the girl at the show at the beginning, but it's like, oh no, it's the girl who was reluctant. So that's kind of showing off like, oh, if you don't follow orders here, you're dead. And then we have Pam Grier shows up at the off. Yeah, she's at the station. She's like talking with Castillo.
Okay, yeah, real quick, just so for future reference, when we talk about Miami Vice, it is considered the largest eastern or the southernmost East Coast city. So
okay.
it is on the Atlantic Ocean side.
Okay. Good to know.
My son was down there. He said it's an amazing city. No, he didn't. But
yeah, Pam Grier shows up. She's Valerie. She's looking for her sister. And then we have a Switek and Zito comedy scene for no reason that lasts about 5 minutes.
Yeah, a little long.
I mean, it's funny, but it just kind of feels like filler for this episode.
Yeah.
Then this is where we find out that Tubbs knows Valerie, and they had like an old romance together.
Yeah.
And
they're both cops in New York City.
Yeah, but I don't think they reveal that. I don't think they reveal that they're both cops, because like she makes some reference that like our careers were going in different directions or something like that. And I don't think we know she's a cop till there's that part at the end. And they're doing like a breakdown after the interrogation or whatever with the one guy, and then Castillo says, "Detective, what do you think?" And they kind of like point the camera at Tubbs, point the camera at Crockett, and then point the camera at Valerie, and then she's like, and then she gives her response on it, and it's like, oh, she's a detective from New York.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reveal. I'm not sure. Maybe I just missed it early on. Yeah, we have Zito and SWAT. They get some intel on like the high class call girl ring, and they have like some party that they're going to, and Zito and Switek go in to pretend to be like bug exterminators, and Switek has like a camera in one case, and they're just like blowing steam around the thing and pissing people off.
Yeah. Yeah, they're saying weird things like, yeah, hold your breath. And one girl asked him, "Can you get high on that?" You know, it was just
he's like, I wouldn't drive for 3 hours after that. What's the weird thing he says? Oh yeah, they come in, they're talking about like the bugs, and there's this girl in like this like weird kind of like nightgown, but like lingerie nightgown thing, and he's like, "Open your mouth," and she opens up and it's like, "Yeah, they got in there or whatever." That's super weird. In some way it's sexual, and in some way it's not. It's just weird.
Yeah, and then he keeps telling the other girl, he's like, "I got to dress like that at home. You know, that's a nice dress." Like, throwing out weird one, because the one guy's always wanted to be a comedian, which is played a part earlier in this series.
Yeah, but they eventually get kicked out by Lyle, the John Turturro's like right hand guy. Then we have a scene where Tubbs and Valerie hook up. And then we have like Roberto Marquez, who's like some foreign dignitary who's like using the call girls, but like, you know, because he's like, I don't know, like you said, a foreign dignitary, like they can't arrest him. He's got that diplomatic immunity thing going on.
He's a diplomat from a foreign country, but they never say which. Some South.
Okay, I thought I missed it, so I just wrote down foreign dignitary.
Yeah.
Then we have a montage where like Diane is just changing dresses and doing cocaine.
Yeah. She's in the life now.
Yeah. It's pretty much it's like, here's the fun thing she gets, but then like what she gets paid with is basically in drugs, and to keep her happy, and then she just never, like, you know, tries to see if she's being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But they say she's making $1,000 a night, but they also imply that she's doing like crazy sex stuff, that she'd be embarrassed if she wasn't high all the time.
Right. Yeah. She's taking a lot of drugs, because there's a scene
well, you see her doing cocaine but like, you go ahead and tell the total scene is weird.
Yeah, there's a scene where, because Trainer comes in and she's acting like, they basically have some exchange, and she's like, I don't just need it, I need you. And he like grabs her by the back of the neck and like really squeezes her tight. And he's like, I'm not one of your Johns. Don't play me, because you see this guy has a real dark side. But then he gives her the cocaine anyway. It's like, go ahead and enjoy it,
Well, I'm not sure if is that cocaine or is that like LSD, because it's like a little thing, but it looked like it was a liquid, so I didn't know if it was like LSD.
I thought it was full of cocaine. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, because we mostly see her do cocaine, but I thought she was doing other stuff as well.
Yeah, cocaine's like the big driver of the show.
Yeah.
And heroin, but mainly heroin's not as fun to watch people do, because no one wants to watch someone crack out a needle and give themselves a shot. And then roll around with their eyes all white for 30 minutes. Like, fun. Yay.
Although we do have that happen later on.
yeah, it does happen.
But yeah, they get Diane out of like one of their parties, and it's like a really weird, uncomfortable scene, because basically Tubbs and they're still like undercover, and like Tubbs grabs her, and then Crockett's like pulling a gun on people, and they drag her out of the party screaming. So this just like, if you're trying to think about it, like what those people there think about, like this is just an abduction. This isn't police work happening.
Yeah, it's like we're here at a party where we're given envelopes of money to basically sleep with these girls and do drugs with them. And these two guys waving pistols around are taking a girl. I was like, this is a kidnapping. We're not going to say anything because we're not supposed to be here doing this either. So it's cool, it's like that kind of weird logic that it's like, well, as long as I'm not getting murdered, that's.
And then you have another uncomfortable scene where they're driving away with her, and Diane is screaming and she's high, and Valerie like hits her to get her to stop screaming, and that makes everybody uncomfortable. So.
Yeah, because Crockett's throwing out like one-liners as he's walking in. He's like, there's more loins on display here than in a meat locker. He's wearing a wire, so everyone's hearing.
Yeah, there was a funny scene where like one of the girls like goes to like try to pick him up, and he's like, well, you see, she whispers at him, and you don't hear what she says. And he's like, I got this problem with a trick knee, so I can't do any of that. And you're just left to your imagination what that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're having fun, and now immediately everything is not fun anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought this girl was a minor.
That's what I thought too.
I thought, well, how can they just grab this girl and drag her out of here against her will? And they are cops, and this is the '80s, so they could, and they're not doing it for a bad purpose, but it's like that's still like borderline kidnapping. And so I thought she was a minor until she's in the rehab center, and then Diane tells her or Valerie says, you're an adult, you can do what you want to. This is the last time I'm going to see you, unless you want to see me again. He says, I'm not pulling you out of this crap again. And then you realize, oh no, she's an adult. Okay, I thought part of the thing here was like, oh, she's a minor.
Yeah,
she looked like a minor.
Yeah, she looked young. She looked young, so
yeah.
And you would know she's a runaway, and so it's like, well, if she's like over 18, she can run away. It's her life. But.
Yeah, she's technically not a runaway.
But
landed exactly where you thought she would. Bad people.
But I mean, definitely the whole show, I think it's posed for you to like think that, because it would make it worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where we find out that Valerie is a detective from Brooklyn, and then John Trainer is the character's name, and then he calls up Diane, or Diane calls him up to
calls him from the rehab center.
Yeah, to basically thank him, and then he wants to see her one more time, but she declines that and is like, I'm going to go back home, and then that's when Trainer orders a hit on her, and then Lyle makes his way into the rehab center and injects her with something, and then she dies, and it's like supposed to.
And this scene is counterpointed with few dueling scenes of like Valerie and Tubbs like in bed, and they're playing the song "I Want to Know What Love Is." I
Yeah.
want you to show me, and this woman gets assassinated with drugs in a rehab center. It's like this is. I don't know if that song's working. You know,
well, a lot of times in this series, they'll use kind of like counter songs to a scene.
yeah.
Because I forget like that they were using some like kind of upbeat love song when Bruce Willis was beating his wife. And it's like that's
Yeah, that's right. They did do that.
and it's like, and I think that's like sort of like intentional, where it's like these aren't supposed to go together, and that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was kind of. This one struck me as like, why is this guy?
It's like,
I want to know what love is.
Yeah, it's like one scene it's supposed to work because it's like these people reconnecting, and the other scene it's like somebody being assassinated.
Yeah.
And then the scene ends when crying while the song is still playing because Crockett is there to find out that she's like overdosed, but they
Crockett
just know.
calls Tubbs and Diane or Tubbs and
Valerie
together in bed. I mixed those two names up, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of. I mean, that's sort of the darkness of this show, though, that makes it cool. It's like, yeah, they're going to do weird stuff, but even that grabbed me a little bit. Like, wow.
But also, like you said before, like anytime Tubbs has a love interest, it always ends badly.
Yeah, someone's gonna die or shoot someone, or actually, yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it still holds. The theory still holds.
Yeah, so Valerie goes to go back to New York, and they're loading her sister's coffin into the bottom of the plane, which I've never seen before, so I have no idea if they do that or not.
Yep, they do.
Okay, yeah, that's. But then we find out Valerie's not on the plane, and immediately know that she's going to go try and kill Trainer. So,
yeah, because Tubb gets a phone call. It's like, her Diane's body showed up, but Valerie wasn't here, and they immediately they're driving fast in that Ferrari, just reusing scenes from other shows, but it's still fun. And yes, because Trainer and Lyle are together at the house, and then there's some Filipino guy opens the door.
Yeah, he's like just some servant. No,
yeah, he was there for some reason. I don't know what he was. But he works for him, and then Lyle comes out behind Valerie. Valerie throws herself, goes into action mode and throws herself into the wall, and Lyle shoots the Filipino guy in the chest, and then Valerie shoots him twice, but he's not dead yet.
Yeah, this is a different look at I don't know if it's training or something, but the way she goes around corners, it's like a third different way that people go around corners in this episode or in this
just stick your head
show. Yeah, whoop. And then if you see somebody, then it's like, okay, next time you stick your head out, don't be that high, go down low, because that's what they're expecting. So it's like, okay, I can see the thinking here. It just comes off as kind of weird because you've never seen that before.
Well, she has really big '80s hair too.
Yeah.
Well, it really it looks like a Muppet almost.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's got a kind of a Tina Turner thing going on. So.
And then there is a cool scene because you hear this gunfight going on, and then Trainer yells out how many? He's holding the gun in his hand, so he's ready for this.
Yeah.
For something. He's because he's not in a panic. He's like, how many? We got a plot. And
but Valerie's working her way towards Trainer. And then we get Lyle shows up again, but then Tubbs and Crockett come in to shoot him, and he gets shot to hell.
Yeah, they're just he takes 10 millimeter and 38 rounds throughout his.
But then Valerie shoots Trainer, and I think we're left to assume he's dead. I mean, he kind of flops around a bit and goes, oh, and kind of groans, which doesn't necessarily mean he's completely dead, but. We freeze frame, and before we freeze frame, she says she's like, well, arrest me and take me in, and that's the end of the episode. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was. You kind of knew it was coming, but it's still sort of, it's Miami Vice. It's a dark show.
Yeah.
You knew that was gonna. I knew that was gonna happen anyway. I figured this isn't gonna close with them at the airport with a plane taking off. That's not how this works. Because there's no way they could prosecute Trainer because they can't prove anything.
Yeah.
Because she was in a rehab center and she overdosed on drugs. It's like, well, duh. I mean, it's And now today they'd have cameras all over that place. You couldn't just walk in holding flowers.
Yeah, at night. I'm pretty sure there's a curfew there.
Yeah, we let people come in after midnight. All kinds of junkies and pimps can come on into our rehab center, but our success rate's really low. I don't know why. Yeah, but she hands her gun to Crockett. She's like, "Read me my rights," and we just immediately go to credits. It's like, well, that's it.
So we have some similarities between we had the brother stuff with NCIS here, and we have sister stuff here. So
yeah,
it's kind of a similarity between those shows. Not sure about Mentalist. No, I don't think there's anything that's indirect.
The Mentalists are just exceedingly weird this week.
Well, if you liked what we heard, and I know you're listening to this podcast anyways, but you can find us at anchor.fn/Verhoeven Effect. The way I like to remember how to spell Verhoeven is Verho, Verho, and then even at the end. You can rate our podcast on whatever podcast platform of your choice. You can rate us whatever you want, but if you want to help us out, just give us 5 stars, and then in the description, it helps me get through my workday. Because you control the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't control you. You on Anchor FM /Verhoeven Effect, you can use listener support, which for a monthly stipend you can support us at 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99. You can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect, Facebook at Verhoeven Effect, or whatever it's called now, Meta.
Yeah, whatever rebranding strategy they're working on.
Which I think that's just the company brand name. I think Facebook is still called Facebook. So.
Yeah, just like Google has Alphabet as its satanic holding company or whatever.
Yeah, but nobody ever refers to Google as Alphabet.
No.
Oh yeah, I'm using Alphabet Maps.
Unless they draw a pentagram on the floor and light candles, then they can summon Alphabet.
You can also listen to our other podcast called American Greed Factory. You can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory, where you can watch this show and American Greed Factory live and unedited if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to hear me cuss a lot. That's the thing.
You can get t-shirts from American Greed Factory at belowthecollar.com/Greed Factory. Yeah, Nathan is wearing it right now. I will have more designs up soonish. As long as I don't distracted by things. I think I'm going to make a negative version where it's a black shirt with a white logo.
Yes, please do. I prefer black.
Okay. And you can find me also at twitch.tv/Greed Factory. In the mornings, I play a show called Puzzles and Podcasts. It's where I just play puzzle games and I listen to podcasts. It's the kind of low effort content that everybody can get behind. You can listen to the podcast that I listen to. which I haven't listened to our own podcast yet, but we don't get too many watchers on the show. But I did today, but that was because there's a weird uptick in Tetris 99 where they're doing a special event. So I got up to 3 viewers. Yeah.
All right.
And maybe 2 of them were robots. So that's an improvement.
Hey, 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
So anyways, for the Verhoeven,
you're not showing up to the door, you're doing good.
Yeah. For the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Colin.
I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.